Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Kingsley Edwards to talk about one of the most revolutionary things I've seen in recent days regarding social media and alternatives to so many of the problems we see around the world today. Social networking, media, communications. I mean, the digital future is on our doorstep, but it's been heavily held back and, essentially censored, which we see in places like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, Twitch, Tumblr. You could go on and on and on. And today, first, before we get into flote.app, which is something that you've put together and it put a lot of work into, and something that I actually think is really useful going down the road. First, let's talk about the problems of censorship and the issues that brought you to create something like flote.app.
Well, a lot of it, a lot of us that have kind of been witnessing what's going on with censorship have noticed that the trend was going this way for quite a long time. And it started to really ramp up, I think, last year and the year before. But really last year, I would say, was one of the first times that it really caught even the mainstream, the mainstream channels were even picking it up. Or now you even have, Trump talking about things like this, or Congress. So a lot of what we were doing, we were actually developing a wallets at the time, a crypto wallets, and eventually we were going to integrate a lot of maybe communication channels and things that were like more on chain. But the more we kind of developed our relationships with you and other content creators out there, and we're really listening, we decided to kind of flip our strategy of the way that we were developing our wallet, and we decided to go with the social network at first. And it's really crazy what's going on right now. Really all that really needs to happen is like kind of rewind the clock about 5 years or so, when social media used to be kind of just a place where you share things. It could be kind of extreme ideas, but not really extreme what they're kind of going after right now. They're everything extreme.
That's one of the things, though. I mean, looking back 5 years, as you say, I remember a time when someone with 500 subscribers could put out content and reach 1 million people with it, and they could make money off of it. They could get a paycheck. They were able to sustain themselves. They can get into a life of media, independent media, gaming, etc. There's so many. It's not just independent media, gaming, just vlogs, travel vlogs, whatever it might be. And now it's like when you go to a place like YouTube, for example, you look up a certain story, and even if an independent media has 8, 9, 10 times the views of the mainstream media, all you see is Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all the mainstream medias, which people went to YouTube to leave in the first place. All the while, you go to a place like Facebook, and you'll have a reach of like 40,000 people, but then you'll post something, and it'll actually reach like 2 people. So obviously, a lot of people have been algoed and basically deep-sixed as far as getting their message out. So what do you think about that, and what are you doing to try and get around this serious issue that's affecting millions of lives right now?
Yeah, so I mean that happens to me too. I blocked. I just follow a bunch of independent journalists like yourself on YouTube, and now every time in my autoplay on YouTube, this just happened like about 3 months ago. It really started getting bad. It always puts Fox News. Like I'm not even like I subscribe to people like yourself, Luke Rudowski, Dan Dix, but Tim Pool, people that like are, they consider themselves more moderate, centrist, maybe even to the left a little bit. Like I listen to Joe Rogan here and there if he has interesting guests on. I still autoplay Fox News next, and then when I tried to block Fox News, and it doesn't even block their channel, it blocks just from them commenting on your videos or something like that. So it's really weird. So anyway, yeah, I mean, really the main idea behind this kind of censorship resistant platform is, again, just dialing the clock back a little bit, bringing the content curation back down to the individual and community level, and providing a way for, you can see what you want to see and not see what you don't want to see. So right now we have it so that, we have a block list, and we're making kind of customizable advanced features for block lists. So you can eventually create people that you don't want to see, or even words that you don't want to see on the platform, and you can actually share those easily with other people, or people can subscribe to your list so they can kind of automatically create those things. Also with follow lists as well. And yeah, I mean, we're just basically creating a platform where, you know, a lot of the community guidelines right now on the current platforms, they're just very opaque and frustrating for content creators. And a lot of content creators feel that they're not being treated fairly as other people that do break the rules and get away with it. And then some people that just have a minor infraction, or it doesn't even seem like an infraction, they'll get an email or a message overnight saying, hey, you're clearly kicked off. Just like, I guess Dan Dix had an issue on Twitter recently as well. So, it's not like in terms of what we're doing, like the forward thinking is kind of like revolutionary as far as censorship resistance, because we are looking at decentralized technologies to integrate with our platform in the near future. But really what we're doing is just having straightforward rules, on our platform. So, it's not anything goes on our platform. We do have to abide by U.S. law. We're a U.S. corporation. But we're just taking kind of what we feel is like a moderate approach to people, adults interacting with each other on the internet.
I know you take this very seriously. You've been talking with me a lot over the last several months, as well as many other people in media, creators in general, and listen to what we have to say. And what's interesting is that I've already tested this out. When I got my first 100 followers on Flote, I tested it out by I posted a set. By the way, I post more on Flote now than Facebook, so if you want to catch me there. But I post a status on Facebook, then I post the same status on Flote. And what happens? Well, Facebook, I have apparently 7,500, 8,000 people in general just on my profile page alone, with 5,000 plus of followers. And I posted, it reaches one person in 6 hours. I posted on Flote with 100 followers all together, and it reached like 18 people. I saw like over the day, just like 18 reactions, whether it be getting a like or a star or people commenting on it. And it says a lot about the algorithm when Facebook goes so out of their way to stop people from seeing things. So for example, when you're posting something on Flote, I feel like Flote is in a way something that will replace countless different issues that we have today. So it's not just a Facebook or a Twitter, or it's not just a Tumblr or a Twitch or a Reddit or etc. It's a Patreon as well, because of course you could pledge with crypto. Can you go into that, as well as the incredibly easy privacy policy? When I first got an account on Flote, it took me like 2 seconds to get the account, and the privacy policy was tiny, and it was just like took 2 seconds to get through. Whereas with Facebook, they're like, here's 48 pages of like privacy policy of how we're going to sell your data to the Chinese. Like, can you go into that a bit, and then go into as well the crypto aspect of it?
Yeah, we're only basically collecting any information from our users that we need in order to run the platform. So this, just basically email. It's in our privacy policy. It's just like a list of like 5 things. And we're not tracking you. I've been learning a lot about how social media works, and how Facebook embeds cookies into your browser, and it actually tracks you when you're off of Facebook, and all this crazy stuff. And that's a big thing. Facebook right now, only 66% of people don't trust Facebook, and you feel that with pretty much everyone that we interact with across the political spectrum. They just don't trust Facebook. This Mark Zuckerberg has been a guy who has openly said that, basically, he doesn't care about their users' privacy.
Yeah, well, why I hate Facebook was a trending hashtag, like 2 weeks ago, all over Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. And so Facebook gets a lot of publicity about that type of stuff, but really all the platforms are kind of involved with this type of censorship. And, it's just, they treat us like we're children. Like I was just on YouTube yesterday, and, it was this channel, nothing crazy or graphic or controversial, but I had to click okay that there may be some content in here that is like, And
you know what that means? That means that people that don't have a YouTube account or whatever, don't have an account on the program or on that website, can't view that as well. So they're stopping about 50% of the audience from seeing that video.
Oh yeah. And now if you post like any type of article on Facebook that may just go against a little bit against the mainstream narrative, they have like a Snopes link, or now Facebook is creating their own type of like Snopes indicator for fake news. And so, we're just saying that, hey, adults can use the internet and learn what they think is their own truth. If you don't like what someone is saying on Flote, block them. It's not that difficult to interact with people.
Well, I mean, if you see someone crazy on the street, what do? You don't call the police on them and say, that person's saying mean things. You just don't walk up to them and hang out with them. You don't get a beer with the guy, you know? And to your point, though, something that I've noticed over the years, about a year and a half ago, Facebook implemented this new policy where you couldn't see Facebook pages as well unless you click to be notified of them, and half the time that doesn't work. And Mark Zuckerberg said, for the psychology of the masses, we've done studies. It's bad for people's psychology to see this kind of news. People want to see family content on Facebook, not stuff from medias or businesses. And it's like, wait a second, shouldn't I be able to have a say in that? And basically, he's like, no, you don't get a say in that. We're gonna manipulate psychology, human psychology, generally, collectively, for the greater good. And it's like, wait, he thinks so little of his users. He even said, we know we're going to lose money on it, but it's going to be important for people's psychology. It's like, no, you're going to lose money, but you're going to gain control over people. And I mean, when you see things like that, you see Zuckerberg saying basically he can control what people see and control people's psychology. How different is a thing like Flote going to be from something like that?
I mean, we don't have these crazy algorithms. I mean, things like, on Twitter right now, on the Twitter app, their algorithm, your home feed is based on what they want you to see, and they still allow you to make it selected so that you can see things in chronological order of all the people that you follow, which is how I prefer to see things. Like, I want to see what the people that I follow in the time that they post things, and that's basically how we're handling ours. But with Twitter, for instance, you can select that filter so that you can see things chronologically, like old Twitter used to be, but then in less than 24 hours, they switch it back. And they even tell you when you switch it over that, hey, we'll let you see this for a little bit, then we're going to switch it back to. So I'm constantly having to go onto Twitter, change my own thing, and then they go in and set it arbitrarily to their own type of algorithm.
And by the way, even chronologically, you switch it on something like Facebook to chronologically. It's still not chronologically. Those, like, in the middle, it'll be like 1 hour ago, and then it'll be like 3 minutes ago. Even when you click for it to be chronologically, it's not chronological. So that's a huge issue. But also going forward, using Flote like Patreon. So being able to pledge to people is really important. And by the way, for those watching, Flote is tiny compared to what it's going to be. You just went into beta. It's just been released to the public, and people are starting to use it. I've seen huge numbers of people flocking over there, and everyone I've talked to loves it so far. But with that said, also you have the payment mechanism. So I think that's really important for a lot of creators who feel like they've been so shadow banned they can't even reach people, never mind actually make a living off of the free content that they're providing people.
Yeah, the feedback has been great so far, and we're about to do a more of a public promotional push, so we're hoping to get a lot more users because of that. We looked at the different type of payment options that we wanted to kind of affiliate with ourselves with, and with the nature of censorship resistance, we saw kind of what Subscribestar went through as far as dealing with payment processors. We've seen what content creators go through with payment processors. We've seen smaller platforms deal with their terrible issues with payment processors. So we decided to go fully crypto route, and we know that this is actually probably going to hinder our growth in the beginning. But what we're really ramping up for is the next. We feel that we're in a crypto bull market, and a lot of people in bull markets, as we've seen before, they want to know how I can use crypto, and also how I can earn crypto. So we're right now we support PTC only, but we're going to be supporting all the other major altcoins. I won't say all, but a lot of the major altcoins.
All 2,500.
Yeah. A lot of major altcoins in the future. Also ones that like are privacy focused, and also including stablecoins too. So we wanted for people that don't want to participate in the volatility of cryptocurrency, we want them to be able to use trusted stablecoins on our platform so they can earn an income unhindered.
Well, and that's really awesome as well. I mean, a lot of people are going to want to, maybe write articles, or you could write articles. You got a title option and a body of text option. You could post pictures. You could do videos. You could do live streams. That's another thing that's really interesting about the website is that years ago, I think one of the major problems was bandwidth with something like YouTube. It's one of the reasons they were sold to Google. They couldn't keep up with the level of popularity for a place like YouTube way back when, and things have kind of of changed in the days since. Obviously, it's not 100% great yet. No websites really are as far as streaming and all that kind of stuff. But it's about as good as it can get for more independent people to be able to create websites and make it usable for people who want to live stream. So you have all these other websites that are coming in on this at the same time, and with something like Flote, you can do live streams, post videos and all that, post pictures, articles, statuses, comment on stuff, share or retweet as you would have on Twitter. You could reshare something on Flote. I mean, it's basically got all these different layers. So what do you expect? What do you see Flote as in like 5 years from now? How big do you see it? How many different options can people possibly have on a website to replace all these old guard systems?
So we're really looking at all the popular platforms today, and looking at what people are using, what people like, and we are taking a lot of those features and integrating them in our own way in a very well designed place that's not over kind of cumbersome of all these different types of options, stuff like that. Yeah. We want to have advanced features and stuff like this for content creators like yourself, but again, we're really focused on user friendliness, and we want to make not only our platform user friendly, but also crypto user friendly to use as an actual money. So like you said, you can right now, most people are just going to use it just like a normal social network, sharing things, whatever. But for content creators, they can monetize any type of media that they want. So they can do audio, video, live streaming. We have super chat functionality, so people can tip you in crypto while you're doing your live stream. We have even images and like you said, text. If people want to do like kind of long form, like kind of medium type text posts, they can charge for that. Whether it's monthly fee, that gets automatically deducted out of your crypto wallet, or we're actually adding a feature soon where you can do a per post fee too. So maybe you don't really publish that much stuff, but hey, you put a lot of work into a documentary or maybe a long article, and hey, maybe you want to charge people 50 cents or $1 just to access it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and that's a great option to have. And I think also, I mean, before I'm going to get into user friendliness in a moment, but I mean, for example, in recent days, I've watched YouTube take about 1,000 subscribers away from me a week automatically. They claim it's bots. It's not bots. It's individual people who are messaging me en masse saying they're being unsubscribed. Luckily, I've been able to keep up with it, especially lately, and get above get into the green. But for a while, I was just draining subscribers. It's happening to a lot of independent medias out there, and this is something that you can't see on a thing like Flote. You won't have, your subscribers being drained because the centralized authority says, well, we don't think these subscribers are real, or we just don't want you to be seen. So we're just going to rip away half your audience and destroy your livelihood. This is something we need to move away from. These entities, the only reason I still post on YouTube is because people that don't already agree with me are on YouTube. And it's a great way to reach out to people, because my job is to educate, not to preach to acquire, of course. But with that said, moving on to finally the user friendliness, I think Flote is something that your 90-year-old mother or grandmother could use, because it's much easier than Facebook. You go on YouTube, you go on Facebook, Gmail, any of those, and you get an account. And it's like, sometimes I'm confused. I'm like clicking through this stuff. I'm like, what do they want this for? Oh, they want this phone number and all that kind of stuff. And you're just going through a million different things. And with Flote, I was actually surprised. I thought there's a glitch because it just went to the homepage, and I'm like, wait, what? It took me like 2 seconds to put in my, like a couple pieces of information, the username, my given name or whatever. And it was there. It was a homepage and it was done. And if that isn't as easy as it gets, I don't know what is. As far as reaching the average person, everyone from age, 16 to 95 or whatever, who aren't interested in providing content for people and stuff, and just want a place that they could talk with friends, hang out on a social media network, and share posts, etc. How important is Flote for those kinds of people?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely important. I mean, really our target, and even in our messaging, we're not going out there and saying, things about like, free speech and censorship resistance. I mean, this is important to our team and our mission long term. But really, we just want people to be able to communicate with each other without black box algorithms and unknown individuals dictating what you can see and what you could say on these other platforms. Again, just dialing back the clock, just 5 years or so. And so, I think at first, really the target of people that would be interested in what we're doing are people that feel like, like myself, who just feel kind of cringy when they have to. Maybe that's, I don't know if that's the right word, but when they log on to Facebook, because like or Twitter, like we still like to interact with the people where our group is, but we're hoping that people will eventually kind of move over to our platform. We're doing things like even making a way so that you can share your float posts to Twitter and Facebook to help bring your community over to us. And that's just kind of the long-term strategy, and just making it a user-friendly sites that has crypto payments built in. Eventually, also we're going to have a way so users and merchants can set up storefronts so they can sell things for crypto and people can buy things for crypto. And we have a whole different kind of trajectory for that in the future as well that we're really excited about. So again, just making a very useful app, kind of similar to what you see in kind of these other super apps, what they're called, like WeChat, where people can do a whole bunch of things within one app, and crypto makes this possible.
Yeah, and I think that is incredibly important going forward. And of course, everyone could find flote.app at flote.app, flote.app. We got links below for it. I really hope that everyone, goes over there, starts joining. I see a lot of people that like it enough that they've just basically said, okay, I'm getting some people on Flote from Facebook, and after that, I'm deleting my Facebook and going 100% to Flote. And the only time I've seen that before in recent years was Steemit. But the thing with Steemit is it doesn't cater to all people. It caters to a certain crowd of people. So that was one thing I always thought that was missing from Steemit. And Steemit, it was mostly people going, well, hey, I can make money off of posts. With something like this, it's not money oriented. You can make money, but it's more about, you can communicate with people freely, like you said, like we used to before our messages started getting, censored or deterred, or we were told that, we couldn't properly communicate with the people who choose to communicate with us. That voluntary interaction of people clicking follow or friend on a place like Facebook and wanting to see your post, but then going 4 years and going, hey, I thought you were dead. I haven't seen your post in years. And it's like, wait, what? You're a friend of mine on Facebook. We have been for years. Oh, well, I just never see it. That is a huge problem. And, the only time I ever see posts that get a lot of views on Facebook is when I write, can you see this post? That if Facebook has some weird algorithm where it's like, if you type in, can you see this post? You'll get like 300 likes on the post, but otherwise nothing. So anyway, I think it's going to be really important that people start moving over to flote.app. We have it linked below. You can connect a bunch of different websites with Flote, including, your Subscribestar, your Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And in the future, you're going to have boards and stuff on Flote that are going to be important for further communication. And I honestly just think it's a great website. So make sure to check that out below. And finally, thank you for joining us.
One more thing to add, just with even with Facebook, you mentioned messaging. They've already now admitted, and we've seen evidence of Twitter, Facebook, and of course Google read your emails, or they have the access to. So on Flote we have encrypted messaging. So people again, and we're going to be adding ways for groups as well to be exist and message each other in that way. So I think again we value user privacy. We're not trying to hide certain things or this thing. We do have rules. Like I said, we do have to follow U.S. law, but we're just trying to create a friendly place for our users, and we want to have a place where they can come and share the things that they want to and interact with their friends, and also be able to buy and sell things, including content like yourself on Flote. So
so what you're saying is that you don't feel like sharing all of our information with the Chinese government for the future social credit system is a good thing. Again, this is another really important thing, is privacy. Privacy going forward is going to be crucial because we are entering into a very digital age, and it comes down to us whether we want it to go in a good direction or a bad direction. Do we want it to go in the direction of Terminator, or do we want to go in the direction of like a utopian kind of technological society where people can create great things, innovate great things, we live longer, all that kind of stuff? That comes down to individuals innovating on that market, and privacy is a big part of that, because obviously with privacy comes anonymity, which means in the future when they come out with some kind of crazy law regarding some kind of speech, one day hate speech speech will mean everything. Just anything, any criticism of the government or any criticism of an individual or whatever it might be. Well, in the future, who knows how long they're holding onto that information, and they could use that against you. That might sound conspiratorial, but we're already seeing that happen in China. They said for years we were collecting this information for the good of the people, just to find bad guys, and now they're using that to lower people's social credit scores and cause all these problems among people in China, which you see people in China rising up against right now to a certain degree. So again, it's really important that we look to a privacy-oriented future rather than just basically bug our home for Facebook and Google like we've seen in recent years. That old meme that's like in the 60s, everyone was worried about getting their phone tapped, and now it's like, here's my phone tap and here's all my information and here's facial recognition stuff and just all these details about my life that shouldn't be out there. Me drunk texting in the middle of the night, So I think it's important that we look towards privacy. But anyway, I appreciate you joining us. I hope everyone checks the links below. And we will be repeatedly posting on Flote. So if you want to find more of our work there, we do post more there than we post on any other social medias right now. So make sure to check flote.app for the latest. And anyway, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. And we're hoping to see some more premium content from Wham on Flote too eventually. So
yeah, we're working on that.
I know I subscribe to Wham on Flote. So.
Like what you see here at WAM, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, we can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, as we are so heavily demonetized and shadow banned to a crazy extent. We have lost about 80% of our reach since the beginning of this year as they rip away subscribers, etc. It has gotten out of control, and it's becoming more and more difficult to stay alive here on World Alternative Media, bringing you guys free content every day. You can also check our Bitcoin address in the description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out on all these other alternatives like Subscribestar, where we are doing subscriber only content for people at the $4.99 US a month tier and up. We really appreciate it. You could tip us on there and pledge anything, but from $4.99 and up, we are giving people subscriber only content that you won't find here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, there are so many alternatives for YouTube these days, including BitChute, which we are on at World Alternative Media, as well as, of course, the new flote.app, flote.app, where they are truly replacing all of these social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and of course, Twitch and Patreon, all in one place, and it is truly incredible what they are doing. We are moving over there en masse, as well as BitChute, BitTube, Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, all those other places, as well as PocketNet. We are on as well at World Alternative Media. There's so many options today, and we're trying to get into as many of them as possible because we need to back ourselves up. We are winning this information war, but we are getting to a point where they are cracking down more desperately than ever, and we got to do whatever we can to stay alive, as it's getting more and more difficult all the time. We also have events coming up, including Anarchadelphia 2019, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in September. Check out thestateofanarchy.com and anarchadelphia.com. Linked below, use promo code WAM, W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to this amazing conference as Anarchy is going viral. Also, make sure to check out the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October. Also, use promo code WAM, another great event with amazing speakers, and of course, Anarchapulco, the one and only, in February 2020, which you can also use promo code WAM for WAM and save 10%. There's so many things that you can do to help independent media, including just pressing like, sharing, clicking the notification button, doing whatever you can to help keep this free information alive that's alternative to the mainstream. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
you.